This is Nova's Squeaky Beans and Beef. It's named after my daughter, Nova, who declared that it's without question the best thing her daddy has ever cooked. Aw, thanks, honey. That's an extra scoop of ice cream for you tonight.
Thanks, Dad.
Even though she's only 5 years old and prone to hyperbole, Nova's not entirely wrong. Squeaky Beans and Beef may not be the best thing I've ever made, but it was really, really good. And here's how to make it. It starts with beef, of course, and I'm using my favorite cut for stir fry, which is flank. I really love this cut. It's relatively inexpensive, yet packed full of flavor. And if you treat it right, it yields a really tender beef that almost melts in your mouth. I've got about a pound of flank steak here, which I've already cut into thin-ish strips perpendicular to the grain. Now, let's treat this thing right. That means sprinkling it with a teaspoon of cornstarch, as well as about a quarter teaspoon of baking soda. These two ingredients are going to penetrate and coat the meat fibers in a process known as velveting. Once tossed, this bowl can go in the fridge for 15 to 20 minutes. No longer than that, though, or we might get some off flavors. Alright, we got the beef out of the way, so we can get to the squeaky part of the recipe, which will be played by these haricots verts. I love using these prepackaged beans. They're already washed, trimmed, and portioned. Perfect for a lazy, busy cook like myself. Next up, we've got aromatics, because it's not a stir fry without aromatics. We've got the usual suspects, a handful of garlic cloves, a shallot, and a pretty good sized nub of ginger. I've just got to prep these up. There. Quantity-wise, you want to end up with roughly equal quantities of finely chopped garlic, chopped shallot, and finely chopped ginger. Okay, on to the last but most important bit, which is sauce. That's made with light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, mushroom flavored is optional, hoisin sauce, oyster sauce, and sugar. And it's not part of the sauce per se, but I'm also going to add some Shaoxing or Chinese rice wine. And that's it for ingredients. Let's get cooking. First thing we're going to do is fry off the beef in a nice hot pan with some oil. And if you watched my video last week, first of all, thank you. And second of all, my burner's now working a little bit better, and I'm actually frying the meat rather than gently poaching it in oil. This part should only take a few minutes. Once the meat's no longer pink and has taken on some nice brown color, we can move on. The meat's now got some nice color on it, so we can add the aromatics. And again, we'll let this fry for just a minute or so. Everything's looking good and smelling pretty fantastic. At this point, we can add a glug of the Shaoxing wine. And a glug, of course, being the actual culinary term for a quarter cup. That's official, you can look that up. I want to cook this until most of the wine's boiled off. Alright, the wine's mostly gone, so it's time to add the squeak to this dish. So in go the beans. Oh, whoops. Don't add plastic. That's bad. While everything finishes cooking, we can go ahead and quickly whip up the sauce. That's made up of 4 tablespoons or a quarter cup of the light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon dark soy sauce, 3 tablespoons hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons oyster sauce, 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon sugar, and a good amount of black pepper. I'll just mix this up. And we can pour the sauce into the wok. At this point, all that's left to do is stir until everything's well coated. Or you can toss if you prefer and you have the skill. I do not. We can leave this alone for just a minute and it'll be done. And here it is, Nova's Squeaky Beans and Beef. Now, I'm not sure if this is the best dish I've ever made. I think my lasagna still holds that title, but it's a pretty great dish nonetheless. It's got luscious, melt-in-your-mouth tender strips of beef, crunchy, squeaky beans, and everything's lacquered in a rich, deep, sweet and savory sauce. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Thanks for watching. This dish was a lot of fun to make, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you have any comments or suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'll see you next week.